Welcome back to the Sound for More channel. It's Leo speaking. Today I have the pleasure to demonstrate Dagger Synth from BeepStreet, the developer of Drumbo. Before I continue, I would like to remind my viewers to subscribe as it helps with growing the channel. Additionally, if you would like to participate in the giveaway and have an opportunity to own a copy of Dagger Synth, just follow the instruction in the video description. Thank you again. So, this is what Dagger Synth in UI looks like. Pretty straightforward, nice control. It's nice to keep it simple. As you can see, we are inside Drumbo. I just have a transpose MIDI rack, a MIDI to CV rack, and then I have an audio unit instrument track where I'm hosting Dagger Synth, which means it's an AUV3 compliant app. I have just created, just in case for the tutorial, a sequence of chords which sound like this, which I might use for the tutorial. Now let's go through what it sounds like, what the controls are, because it's quite unique. It's really the quality of the sound that you can achieve is really impressive, and it really gives something to think to other synth in the desktop space. Anyway, here where you see init, click on it. Here you have access to the factory bank for which you can add as well. And then of course you can import, export, standard control. And here is where you have a different preset that you can choose from, right? As you can hear, it sounds monophonic at the moment, and that's because here you have an option to move it to chords, which is paraphonic mode, where you have 4 duplicated instances of oscillator, so up to 4, which can be controlled up to 4 different keys. And that is what I'm going to actually use. If I go back to my init preset, then I enable a chord so I can then play a MIDI pattern. Nice. Of course, when you are in paraphonic mode, you share some of the functionality like the filter, the amp section. Now you can further move between presets using the arrow here, like so. All right. As I mentioned, you can achieve some fantastic sounds, and of course you can randomize here to create the unique preset. And it's always useful to have a randomization function because it gives you like a starting point. Okay, so let's reselect that init. And let's start to go through some of the controls. So here you have a selection of the waveform, triangle, so you can go to square or pulse, up to 0 pulse. Great. Here you can set the glide. So how long it takes to glide from one note to the other. Of course, you can have it also in auto mode, which means it works only when notes are overlapping. Doesn't work here, but if I overlap them, it works. Okay, perfect. Next, you have an additional oscillator here, oscillator number 2, and you can decide to have it mix, so you can go to 50% between oscillator 1 and 2, or just oscillator 2. You can have it hard sync to oscillator number 1. You can change, of course, the waveform and the octave of oscillator number 2. You can have it retriggered, of course, based on pressing keys. Next, what you can also do is adjusting the phase shifting on this side. And you can also detune it after here 50%. Okay, let's enable again code mode. You have a section here for modulation, and you can choose to modulate the wave shape here, the waveform, the phasing and detuning, or also the pitch of both oscillators. Okay, here you set the intensity. You need to go here to the modulator section. You have an LFO. At the moment is set on sample and hold, but you can put it here to a sine waveform. You can change the rate. And you can have it to behave freely or based on key or based on hosted tempo. Let's have it actually by key. Of course, you can change the form here. You can have it also VCO as well enabled. Really great, a lot of different options. And of course, the beauty is you can have it to change the waveform of the first oscillator. Can go on phase detuning. Okay, next we have a high pass filter, a naughty high pass filter, which has also simulation of broke component spice here. You can adjust the cutoff frequency and the resonance, of course, and then you can enable tracking. It can be 0, 50 or 100%. Okay, next you have a low-pass filter, and you have 4 different types of filter, including transistor and diode ladder. As well, of course, you can change between them in terms of also changing your number of poles and the slope curve. I like the brute for some reason, and here you can adjust, of course, the cutoff frequency, the resonance, and add some drive. You have key tracking here, and then you can further modulate the cutoff frequency here. You can do it by the LFO, the envelope, or oscillator number 2. So LFO. And of course, you can have it also by oscillator 2. And the beauty comes, of course, when you have also modulation going through oscillator, the oscillator running. Okay, really nice. And of course, you can act on the frequency controlling the envelope as well, which is down here. You have your typical attack, decay, sustain, and release. You can have it retriggered. You can have it not retrigger based on overlapping notes, and also retrigger based on LFO. Let's set the amplitude here to be controlled by the DSR. Let's give more decay. Let's give more release. And you can hear it's acting on that. Of course, you can, let's set it like this. Okay, and so now let's use it to modulate the frequency of the low pass filter. Really nice. And now let me show you being repeated based on LFO rate. Of course, depending on the rate that you have set. And then what you can also do, you can have it respond differently based on velocity, and you can have it acting on filter and amplitude. So, and depending, of course, on where you position it on the keyboard, is if it is velocity sensitive or if you have an external controller, okay? And then finally here on the right-hand side, you have the final output level. You have a diode clipper if you want to add some distortion. And you can have modulation as well. And here you can adjust how the amplitude is controlled. So by the ADSR, by the release, and the attack release with sustain equal to 1. And of course, here you have also controls to act on the modulation wheel. You can control the high pass filter, the low pass filter, or also the modulation. So all in all, it's a great synth, and I do encourage you to try it, and also to try some of the presets. Some of them are really, really amazing, and there have been already some tutorials as well, which are demonstrated there. playing something with chords. Okay, I'm going to stop here. I hope you enjoyed. See you next time. Bye.